Hi everyone, this is me Hifni. So today we are going to discuss an important biostat topic, which is how to choose the right statistical test during the step one questions. So this algorithm will help us during the process. The first thing we are going to ask, what is the dependent and the independent variable? So if we are starting with a categorical thing, like we are dividing the groups into male and females, diabetic and non-diabetic, etc., it's like a yes or no questions, just a frequency, not a number, not an actual thing that can be measured by number. Then it's a categorical thing. And then if you are going to measure and get an outcome of another categorical, like we have divided the groups into people who has diabetes, people who's not diabetic, okay? Then we are going to measure whether they are also hypertensive or not, just hypertensive or not, not the mean blood pressure or any number, if they are hypertensive or not. So it's another yes or no question. So yes or no question to another yes or no questions, then we are going to use the chi-square test. Then, but what if it's another quantitative thing? Like we are now measuring and dividing the group according to a number, to a mean, to a blood pressure, to a thing that can be expressed in number, like forced expiratory volume, mean blood pressure, random blood sugar, anything like that. So we are going to move on with that. If we are going to measure them according to a categorical thing, like people who's exposed to drug X and another got placebo, we are going to measure what is the mean blood pressure after that exposure. It will depend according to the groups. If we are dealing with only two groups, then we are going to use the simple t-test, not the paired one, but the simple t-test. If we are dealing with more than two groups, like three or more, then we are going to use the analysis of variant. Like, for example, if we are going to measure the mean blood pressure in heavy smokers, moderate smokers, mild smokers, and non-smokers. So we have here four groups. So we are going to use the analysis of variance or ANOVA test, one way ANOVA test. But if we are going to compare between a quantitative and another quantitative variable. Like we are not dealing with groups now, we are dealing with numbers versus numbers, like mean blood pressure and forced expiratory volume. And then we are going to represent them in a graph, which will be using the correlation or linear regression tests. So going to our cases, this is a clinical trial that's designed to evaluate the impact of habitual coffee consumption on resting heart rate. Stratify them into four separate groups according to their daily caffeine intake. Resting heart rate is measured quantitatively in beats per minute for every participant using the standard clinical protocol. What is the statistical method that we are going to use? So now we are going to do a 2 times 2 table and try to know. Here he is measuring the resting heart rate, and then it will be divided according to their four groups. Then we are going to use, here's we are dealing with a categorical four groups and the continuous data or quantitative, which is the mean resting heart rate. So we're going to use the one analysis of variance or the one way ANOVA. So chi-square here, if we are going to deal with two categorical things, like if we were going to categorize them into according to the coffee consumption and also about if they are diabetic or not. So they are going to use the chi-square. Bear t-test is not the simple t-test. Bear t-test is used when we are going to do a pre-test, post-test study. Like we got 100 people and we tested their blood pressure. Then we gave them propranolol and then we measured their blood pressure. So pre-test blood pressure was and post-test blood pressure was. This is the PER t-test. The second question is randomly a clinical trial that is a new intensive life modification program, hemoglobin A1C. Uh, they assigned them into two groups. Group one received the standard dietary, the another received the intensive. Then they measured the hemoglobin A1C, and he wants to know what is the test we are going to use. So here he is dealing with two categorical, standard versus intensive, and we are going to measure, or the thing we are going to measure is a continuous thing, which is the hemoglobin A1C. So we are going to deal with B or C. It's going to be B. As I said, it's the two simple t test. The last question. An epidemiological investigation is conducted during the winter flow to determine a newly formulated trivalent influenza vaccine. They assign the groups 802 to receive the new vaccine or another to have a placebo. And then after the 5 months, they are going to record whether each participant has developed the influenza or not. So it's a category versus a category. It's a vaccine versus placebo, and who developed the influenza or not. So we are going to use the chi-square test. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and this table could summarize all what we have discussed today.